Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Welcome back. Final segment of the program. Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. Time in the Princeton Orthopedic Associate Studios is 5:38. U.S. Open concluded over the weekend. Dustin Johnson finally got it done with a lot of controversy as he had to play with that lingering thought of is he going to get a stroke penalty or not. Now joining us to break it down is Steve Sands from the Golf Channel and NBC Sports. Steve, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you, my friend?
Doing great, Zach. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, and we appreciate you giving us a few minutes today. So I saw that whole situation develop on Sunday, and I know I texted you while it happened. I didn't think it was a penalty. You didn't think it was either. A lot of players went on Twitter, and they chimed in their takes on it. They did not think it was a penalty. Why did the USGA decide to wait so long until after the whole round was completed to figure out what would happen?
It's a great question. There's really no answer to it other than they made a mistake. They admitted that yesterday, that they took away from the competition by not ruling immediately. And they ruled that he was going to get a stroke penalty. And I don't think anybody really is still clear as to why. He said he didn't move the ball based upon his putter not being sold behind the ball, which means that the putter didn't touch the ground behind the ball. And the other thing is that when the official who was there with the group on site said that it's okay, that should be the end of it. For another official to come in 2.5 hours later and talk to him about it was really bad. It was a big mistake, Zach, and then they admitted it yesterday. It was not the finest moment for the USGA.
And obviously, I'm not the level of a golfer like a Dustin Johnson is, but I've played golf before, and I know this. It is extremely tough to keep your focus, and that's what's so impressive, what he did, especially with his entire past and how he's known for not winning these major events. And the fact that he was able to keep his focus with all those distractions and really just blow out the rest of the competition was extremely impressive to me, Steve.
Incredible. He not only did he keep his focus, but he kept his cool. You know, he kept his game intact, knowing full well what was ahead of him. But I think he was at a bit of an advantage, Zach. I think he was the only one who knew that he wasn't going to get penalized. I think once the guys from the USGA came on TV and said what they were going to do after the round, that they were going to ask him to look at the video, they knew he wasn't going to give them a different answer. So they knew that they were going to penalize him a stroke. Dustin thought the whole time, well, they're not going to penalize me, so I don't need to worry about it because I know what I did and did not do there. So even though the whole world knew that he was going to get penalized a stroke, Dustin didn't. So I think he was at a bit of an advantage there, which helped him. But having said that, Zach, you're right. He was great down the stretch, hit some great shots, hit some big putts, and just came up really big in a big spot, and congratulations to him.
Rory was in an irate mood, and he took it to Twitter to voice his displeasure with the USGA, and even went as far, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it right in front of me, but he did say that he would stop play if he was in that situation and demand a decision. Do you think he actually would have done that if he was playing?
I do. I think a lot of guys would have. Again, I think Dustin is a different kind of cat. I don't think that he has the same thought process as a lot of those guys. And that's not good or bad. It's just different. And I think that a more cerebral player like a Rory, a guy who would think his way around a golf course like that, would just say, you know what, I'm not going to hit another shot until you tell me whether or not it's a penalty. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing as it pertains to Dustin Johnson. That's just the way Rory and a lot of other guys would have handled it. And they didn't want it hanging over their head. And the reason is because, again, Dustin never thought he was going to get penalized. I think most other guys thought that there was a chance that they could have been penalized, and it worked in this case to Dustin's advantage. But without question, Zach, Rory would have said, I'm not hitting another shot, guys, until you tell me whether I've got a one-shot penalty or not. Because let's face it, coming down the stretch, when you're playing for a U.S. Open on a Sunday late in the day, you need to know where you stand. And if you've got a one-shot lead or a two-shot lead, you might play the holes coming down the stretch differently. And I think that's where Rory's thought process was. I need to know what it is right now before I continue playing.
See, I'm fascinated by that because I have just such a hard time imagining that a player would do that. But, hey, when you're Rory, I guess you can go out there and do that. But what would happen if, let's say Rory did that, but then he goes, the USGA fires back and says, well, hey, we're the ones in charge. We're not making a decision until after the match.
Well, then it would have been a standoff, and I think the USGA would have made a decision.
That would be entertaining.
Oh my gosh! I mean, to be honest with you, I was sneaky rooting for chaos. I was rooting for Dustin to either be tied at the end of the day or be up by a stroke at the end of the day to see if they take away a U.S. Open from him or if they would cause him to go into a Monday playoff because they were going to handle the one stroke and have him be a one-stroke winner all the way down to a tie. So I was rooting for the chaos because I wanted to see what would have happened, and I really do believe, Zach, that Rory would have said to them, "Hey guys, I'm staying put. You tell me what you're going to do because this is not right." He knew it wasn't right. Everybody knew it wasn't right.
Zach Gelb Show here, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey, coming to you from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios, talking to Steve Sands, who does an excellent job for the Golf Channel and NBC Sports. You had the grounding the club incident with Dustin Johnson. You had the whole incident last year when he choked. Is the monkey's finally off his back? Now do we start to see Dustin Johnson go on a run of winning a few majors?
I think it's a great question. I said to someone yesterday, a very good friend of mine in the business, he asked me, what does this do for Dustin now? And I said, look out. Dustin can win anywhere, anytime, because he can overpower a golf course any single round he plays on the PGA Tour or at major championships. I think now that he's not only gotten to the finish line, which he has done before, but now he's crossed the finish line, I think it's Dustin Johnson's time to shine. I think if he continues to stay focused, which I think he will, I think you are going to see some amazing play out of Dustin Johnson here over the course of the next few years.
Henrik Stenson pulled himself out of the event, and I'll say this about that. He said he had some minor injuries, nothing major. Did he quit?
Oh, man, I don't know. That's a good question. I think yeah.
Because you should always finish. Unless if it is an injury that cannot let you play, you always finish in golf. You know that.
That's what I was gonna say was the answer for me would be yes, because professionals finish. And no matter what they're shooting at the time, no matter how they're playing at the time, professionals have to finish. And so yes. Yeah, the answer would be yes to that. I think it's tough to know exactly what's going on in the mind and the body of another person. So I never like to say a professional quits or never like to say a professional, did something that is just perceived to be what I think. But, yes, I agree with you, Zach. I think that a professional has got to finish his round no matter how he's playing.
Spieth and Rory didn't play well. How much did the rain affect them?
I don't know if the rain maybe have affected Rory because he had a game plan coming in and didn't adjust to it. The golf course was completely different on Thursday and Friday than it was on, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday when he was practicing, and he didn't adjust well, and that surprises me because Rory's a better player than that. He's also a smarter guy than that, so he didn't adjust anything in his game plan there. Spieth, I think, Zach, Spieth just came in. I don't know, just wasn't playing, great. And I don't think the golf course suited him very well. But I don't think the rain had anything to do with it. I think that Jordan it just wasn't his week. I mean, obviously he's a terrific player. Obviously he's an amazing talent. He's won multiple majors. And he had just won 3 weeks ago at Colonial. So obviously, he knows what he's doing out there. I just don't think Oakmont suited up well for Jordan's game. Jordan is not a guy who is going to overpower a golf course and hit bombs off the tee. And, that's kind of what Oakmont required.
People in golf, especially the Tiger Woods fans, they like consistency, and people are starting to really get enamored with Spieth and to see that consistent winner from what he did last year. This year you had Danny Willett win the Masters, and then you have Dustin Johnson finally break through. Is it good when you get multiple people that have never won before winning a major for the game of golf?
It's a great question also, Zach. Here's why I don't think it's great, but I also do. I think it's good because I think it spreads it around and makes people stars And the way you make people stars in golf and more familiar with the sports audience, not just the golf audience, is to win majors. Because I think a lot of people watch golf. A truckload of people watch the majors. It's kind of like tennis. I love watching the Grand Slam events, but I don't ever watch regular tennis events week in, week out. So the eyeballs are on the majors, and the major winners become bigger names, more familiar with the audience in and out of the golf world. So that's a good thing. But if you go back to, say, the Jordan days in the NBA, I think it's a lot of fun when there is a great player or great team to go after. I think it was always fun to watch these guys try to go after Tiger. Didn't root against Tiger, didn't root for him, but I rooted for the drama. And when there's drama, most of the time it's because you've got a David and Goliath, a favorite and an underdog. And yeah, it's nice to spread the wealth, but if you get a guy winning a whole bunch of them, then all of a sudden it makes people more interested to see what A, he's going to do, and what B, how the others are going to react to him.
You know me, I absolutely love Tiger Woods, and it's such a shame to what has happened. And I know everyone's holding out hope that he will win another major again. I'm one to say that Tiger Woods will never win a major again. What's the latest on Tiger with this injury? I know we last saw on Twitter him swinging that iron. Is he at all close, or do you see him play this year, or is this year just going to be a wash year for Tiger Woods?
Well, when he didn't play the Memorial 3 weeks ago, I thought, you know what, now he's not going to play the U.S. Open. Well, this week at Congressional, outside of the greatest city on the planet, Washington, D.C., with
those stinking Redskins.
With the greatest sports fans in the world.
And those choking Alexander Ovechkin.
Oh, my gosh. I'm still, by the way, bitter about that. Congressional this week is the Quicken Loans National. That is Tiger Woods' event. His own event. So when he made an announcement a couple weeks ago that he wasn't going to play at the U.S. Open or this one, then that means to me that he's not going to play a Royal Troon at the Open Championship in a couple of weeks, because I don't think he's going to come back at a major. I think it's too difficult. So then, fast forward a couple more weeks, is the PGA Championship. Well, then he's out. Then he's done, because the FedEx Cup playoffs are out of the question because he won't qualify for them. So I think 16 is a lost season for him. Now, golf continues after the Tour Championship in September. He said he's going to be an assistant captain for Davis Love in the United States Ryder Cup team, not a playing captain, but an assistant captain. And so we'll probably see him there in public. But as far as playing, Zach, I don't know, man. I mean, he might not play until the fall, and if he doesn't play in the fall, which counts for next season, the 2016/17 season, I don't know, man. It could be a while. I was a little bit surprised that he wasn't going to come back when we saw him hitting balls, but when he made the announcement that he wasn't going to come back here in these few weeks, it kind of washed away his summer a little bit, I think.
Before we let you run, as we're talking to Steve Sands, unfortunate events happened in Orlando, just absolutely disgusting that any human being would do that, and you live in Orlando with your wife and beautiful children. Just how has the aftermath been there? Because that was just so scary to see that develop.
It was horrific. I mean, it's been a tough few weeks here in the nickname "the City Beautiful." I think most people think when you're up in Jersey or New York or Philly, wherever you're from in the Northeast or anywhere in the country, really, when you think of Orlando, you think of Disney. Well, this is more than just Disney World, Universal, and SeaWorld. This is a community of almost 2 million people, a major city in the United States that was rocked by a singer getting murdered during an autograph session, and then a day later, the deadliest mass shooting in the history of our country happened in this city. This was not on Disney property, not at the theme parks, not a tourist event. This was our own community. And then what happened a couple of days later was even more insane as far as the dynamics of it, when you think of a 2-year-old being drowned by an alligator at Disney World while his family's on vacation, which is just awful to think about. So those 3 events have really brought the community together. The shooting at the Pulse nightclub and the 49 people who were murdered really, really brought everything together in this area. And, Valerie took the boys to go see the memorial yesterday. There were 50,000 people there. This community's been reeling and also coming together at the same time. So if there's any good to be found in crazy disasters like that, It's that people do come together and they put away their differences and their ideology, and they gather around and give people hugs. So it's been an interesting couple of weeks in this city. We appreciate you asking, and we appreciate the whole world in this country thinking about Orlando the last couple of weeks.
Well, we continue to send our best wishes to the fine people of Orlando. And Steve, this is always fun to have you on to talk some golf. Let's do it again real soon. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Zach. All the best, bud. Glad you're doing well.